Hello, Yi Martins, licensed marriage and family therapist, couple therapist. Let's continue with the conversation about having a conversation with your ADHD partner. So there are a couple things I ask myself before I decided to have a difficult conversation with someone. Let me show you how I do my process. So the first thing I do is to honestly ask myself, how much do I want this relationship? So it depends on the relationship, right? This is when I get in touch with my resources internally. Like, how much energy do I have for this relationship? How much energy do I have for this conversation? How much do I really want this relationship? Like, I generally ask myself a scaling question. 0 is I don't want it. I'm ready to bolt. 10 is I want it so bad I will do anything to work at it. And generally we're somewhere in between. Okay, and then I ask myself, how come I want the relationship so badly? Like, what is the source of my desire? For example, if this is a conversation I'm about to have with my co-parent, then I ask myself how important it is for me, this relationship. It's very important because a good co-parenting relationship will make my life easier, will reduce my workload, and also will increase my children's well-being. So it's very essential to me. So like a 9 out of 10. Another example is to say if I'm about to have a conversation with one of my partners, then I'll ask, so how important this relationship, this partnership to me? What's the nature of the partnership? Is it a 6? Why is it not an 8? Why is it not a 4? Right? What do I get from having a good relationship with this person? This is very important. Oftentimes we ignore how much limitation of our energy and our time is. We are not raining all our internal resources, energy to direct to the direction we want them to be. We end up wasting time, energy, and on things that's not important to us, or didn't give enough energy and time for things that are important to us. So first question, resourcing internally. What do you want from this relationship? Why is it important to you? How much is important to you? How come it's important to you, right? Then once you get in touch, this is so precious to me. I really want this relationship to thrive. I'm willing to put in my energy to make it happen. Then let's come to the next one. So the next question is, how do I want to show up in this relationship? Right? Again, let's use co-parenting as an example. Do I want to be a supportive co-parent? Do I want to be an honest one? Do I want to be a respected one or respectful one? Do I want to be a well-bounded one? Right? So depends on my goal, my value. For me, being in that role as a co-parent, I will schedule and structure the conversation differently. Say if I wanted to show up as someone who is well-bounded because I have past history of not being respected my boundary in this co-parenting dynamic, I will have very short, very firm conversations with the person and not explaining much about why I say no. I will simply say, this doesn't work for me. I'm not available for that time to exchange. Right? So, but if I want to be a more collaborative, more supportive co-parent, then I may leave more room. I'll be softer in my presentation conversation. I will ask them questions to hear their perspective or their needs and really dig deep inside where I am available to be the supportive co-parent here, to generate and build goodwill mutually for the future. Maybe someday I will need to exchange as well. Okay. So if you're having a conversation with an intimate partner, you want to think about what kind of partner you want to show up to be. Do you want to be a trustworthy one? Do you want to be an authentic one? Do you want to be a calm, supportive partner and caring one? What does it mean to show up, to be supportive of your partner in a relationship? For someone, that could mean provide listening ear, being empathetic. For other people, could be take on some chores in the house to make your partner's life easier, right? It depends on the contact and the relationship that you're having. So that's number 2. You want to get in touch with your own values, what you're striving to be, the person that you're in this system, in this conversation and relationship. And then the next one come in, also your intention, your goals for this conversation. What are you trying to achieve by having this difficult conversation? If you don't know what you're trying to achieve, the chance of you avoid it, procrastinate it, or just kind of steamroll it is very high, and the successful rate will be significantly lower. So if you're trying to clarify an issue, you're trying to reconnect, you're trying to repair, you're trying to see deals, then the way you approach the conversation will be very different, isn't it? Right. And the next one, after you dig up, you have your energy here available, and you know how you want to channel it, the tunnel you're creating, the path you're creating for the water, and then notice if there's any back current inside of you. In the system-centered therapy, we call it restraining forces. In the parts work, we talk about the polarizing part to the part that you're trying to, the desire is. In this case, say, if you have a part of you that has fear and anxiety about achieving this goal that you have, or to have a conversation with your partner, then you want to study that and look at it, and you want to release the tension and the restriction to free this extra energy to help you to achieve your goal. So let me list a couple of common fears for people to have difficult conversation. Let me know if that's, speak the truth to you. The first one is a fear of vulnerability, of exposing yourself, the part of you that haven't been seen, that you may not accept it yet, that your values, your feelings, your thoughts, your intention, your needs and desires, that you're afraid the other person may not like it if you expose them. That comes to our next fear, which is a fear of rejection. Oftentimes, the reason why we don't want to expose ourselves is afraid that the other person is going to say, "Ooh, I don't like that about you at all. We are so different. I look at you differently now. You're not the sweet partner I had before. What happened?" Right? The other fear people may have is the fear of abandonment. That's often when they express the needs and desire, deep needs and desire, and the partner may say, "Well, I don't know. I don't think I can meet that needs. Does that mean we can't be together?" Let's say you're having a sexual conversation with your partner, talking about your sexual desire, fetish, or your preferences that you haven't explored, and then your partner's like, "Ooh, I can't do that. Like, that's not something I like." Then you may feel, "Well, you can't meet my needs, and what if you abandon me? You decide not to be with me or meet my needs, period. And then what's going to come out of the relationship," right? That sounds like pretty loaded. So that prevent a lot of people to have conversation about sex or money or both. So the next fear people tend to have is the discomfort. So the sensation in their body, it could be flushes on the face, it could be a palpitation in their heart with sweaty palms, any sensation that's associated with the discomfort of having those conversations. It could be coming up of fear and anxiety. It can also come from the past experiences with the partner, without the partner, someone else in the childhood that you are still not processed yet. So whenever you get into that place, physically you feel you can't handle the sensation, so you want to avoid that. But that's exactly what information is for you, to discover that part of you and to heal and integrate. The next one is a more general sweeping. The fear of unknown. Yes, we're all there. We're all like, "Well, I don't know what's going to happen. So maybe if we don't talk about it, if we don't go there, we'll just stay in the status quo." But the tension's still inside, and the opposing part is still there, and your partner may also have that. And then you play out a lot of unconscious manipulation there, right? Which, for the conflict avoidant couples, come to me 20 years later, and because they start to have explosion of this content. And it's very hard to repair and discover, and it's very frustrating and expensive. So don't wait until the last minute. So here, if we were to work together, I would like to give you some tools to undo your anxiety and fear, and to free up those energy and to turn on your curiosity, so you can be a researcher and explorer in your experience, in your conversations, knowing yourself and your partner and the interaction the two of you have, which is quite exciting and it can be dramatic. So let's play it into our context of having a difficult conversation with your partner with the ADHD. What are the particular things you want to pay attention to? Something concrete here, okay? Let's be concrete. Step 1, 2, 3. So 3 things I want to mention before you have a conversation. Before we even talk about the content, let's think about the container, the structure of the conversation. The where, when, and what. Where is the location, the space, the container, physical. Are you going to have a conversation at home? Are you going to have a conversation in a coffee shop, in nature, take a walk, or in a bowling alley? I don't know, Dave and Buster. So it depends on the nature of your conversation, depends on who you are. I'm a somatic person. I like to be in movement when I have difficult conversations. It helps me to process information and manage my own arousal. So I prefer to be in nature if possible, and to be in movement, like walking side by side. For some people, they need to be in the container of their own environment. The light has to be right, the temperature, the water, they sit down with music and whatever that make you feel regulated, and they need to be still, right? If that works for you, you know that's how you operate, and your partner, talk about that with each other to find a way that works for both of you. And then we talk about the when. The time is very important. You want to choose a time when both of you are relatively regulated and in a good place. You don't want to have a conversation when you're driving and stressed out, or the kids are in the background fighting, that you're worried about getting the dinner on the table, right? You want to set aside a time that works for both of you. Give it a chunk of time. See, if you are someone who's likely to get overstimulated quickly, both of you, you want to insert breaks in between. So you have a conversation for 25 minutes, set a timer for 5 to 10 minutes of break, then come back for another 25. Don't go like marathon, like all night long, and not coming to conclusion that nobody gets any sleep and cranky and says things you don't want to say and regret later. So that's the when. The last one is what is your intention? Is your goal, what you're trying to achieve, like I mentioned earlier, right? What is the context? Are you having a conversation about your co-parenting, extracurricular activity, for example, or you're having a conversation, intimate relationship about sex? Particularly, you can say, I would like to talk about our sex life in a way I want to express how I feel about last time when we had sex, the particular incident, what got activated in me, and I want to hear what's your experience. I would like to talk about that, and I would like to use at least an hour to talk about that. I would like to talk about it in the privacy of our home. So you got what, when, and where in this. So once you send an invitation like that, it's much more manageable for your partner with ADHD or co-parent with ADHD to conceptualize it. Okay, I'm not in trouble. It's only an hour. I can deal with this. And we can get breaks. I'll be comfortable. And we're only going to talk about this, not a whole pile of issues. So oftentimes, male partners get scared when their female partners say, we need to talk. They're like, what did I do? Right? Are they going to talk about last week and the year before, and then when we had a baby, all the way back? We're just going to talk about this chunk of information, and we can get it over with, and then we can do whatever that feels good, like make out, sex, whatever. If we have this conversation, if you give them this expectation of a contained expectation of the topic, it's less likely for them to freak out and be overtaken by anxiety. And if you let them know there's something nice planned after that, so you're going to cuddle, you're going to have sex, or you're going to make out, you're going to watch a movie together after, to reward them for this difficult conversation, they will be more willing to talk to you and be more open, and you'll have a more satisfying, productive conversation. Well, let me know if you tried those things and how it goes, and anything else you want to hear from me. Otherwise, next time I will be talking about the most important thing in having a difficult conversation, which is to self-regulate and co-regulate your nervous system, how to prep that, how to do that throughout, and how to do after the conversation. See you next week, my friends.